Hello, friends, and welcome to this sacred space. We'll begin our time together by lighting a candle with these words from Psalm 36. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light, we see light. So yesterday in the lectionary, we started on John chapter 6, and we'll spend some time in John chapter 6, which I think of as the bread chapter, because there's an awful lot about bread and the imagery of bread and Jesus as the bread of life, and utilizing the idea of God's provision in the wilderness by providing bread, manna in the wilderness for the Israelites as they left Egypt. But the verse that really intrigued me yesterday, or the verses, the idea, come from verses 12, easy for me to see, verses 12 through 13. So listen now for God's word to you as I read from chapter 6 of the Gospel of John, verses 12 and 13. When they were satisfied, he told the disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over so that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. The word of the Lord. So that's the intriguing idea for me, is this idea of fragments. Particularly at this time, I heard this language the other day that people my age and younger are consumers. We grew up in a consumerist society, and as such, we look for convenience, and we don't think much about the long-term use of an item. We want it to be convenient. So single-use items, whether it's yogurt or drinks or whatever it would be, that comes in a single-use container, we simply dispose of the container when we're finished with it. Or household objects, we might buy different things for the house, and when it breaks a little or gets a little old, or it's not to my liking anymore, then we throw it away. So this consumerist standpoint, viewpoint, worldview, actually has implications for how we see lots of things, including the things that are left over, the things that we don't think are useful anymore. We just dispose of it. Previous generations were much more careful with their things, and they made sure they bought things that would last a long time. And there wasn't any such thing as, wasted items. You would hold on to certain things and think, okay, I have a second use for this, or a third use for this. Something that me as a 50-year-old might look at and say, why are you keeping that? But the older person might see great value in it. Not to go to the place of hoarding, because the Bible also talks about that, that we don't want to hoard things, because as we hoard things, they tend to rot and not be useful anyway. But this idea of fragments, of gathering together the fragments, gathering together what was left over in order to make use of it, is something that speaks to me. And I just wonder, what are the things that I too quickly let go of? And not just food items or household items, but, even in relationships, or in different things that we're trying at church, different ministries we're trying, or, whatever it might be. There are lots of different ways that we can think about what the fragments are, the things that are kind of on the margins, the things that we kind of forget about, the things that feel like they're leftovers and not needed. And how can we gather those things, those people, those ideas, and use them to share the gospel? So that's the question I have today. That's the question I leave with you. What are the fragments? The fragments in your own life, maybe the fragments in the life of the church that you notice? And is there something that God may want to do with those fragments so that nothing may be lost? I leave that to you today to ponder. And I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I won't be communicating this way, but I do wish you well, and I look forward to connecting with you again the following week. Peace be with you all.